Good afternoon, and welcome to the German Perspective. We begin today with significant diplomatic efforts from the United States as President Donald Trump's administration seeks to influence key trade routes and international relations. The United States government is reportedly pressuring Lithuania to reopen its Baltic Sea port of Klaipėda for the export of Belarusian potash fertilizer. Lithuanian Foreign Minister Kęstutis Budrys confirmed this past Thursday that Washington has been exerting additional activities and pressure on his government regarding the resumption of these vital exports. However, Budrys firmly stated that Lithuania remains committed to the European Union sanctions against Belarusian potash. He emphasized that as long as these sanctions are in force, discussions about resuming exports will not take place. Lithuania, a member of the European Union, halted all exports of Belaruskali, the world's second-largest producer of the crop nutrient, via Klaipėda in 2022. This decision followed United States sanctions against the state-owned Belarusian company. The initial sanctions were imposed due to Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko's severe crackdown on opposition figures after he claimed victory in the 2020 elections, contrary to factual evidence. The European Union also imposed sanctions on Belarusian potash in 2022, specifically citing the country's support for the Russian invasion of Ukraine. In a significant development this past March, the United States surprisingly lifted its punitive measures against Belarus. This came after Belarus released 250 prisoners in an agreement brokered by Washington. In stark contrast, the European Union sanctions are still in effect and are set to remain until February 2027 with the possibility of extension. John Cole, President Trump's special envoy for Belarus, stated in March that resuming exports through Lithuania would be beneficial for the United States. For landlocked Belarus, the sale of potash fertilizer, especially to nations like India, China, and Brazil, represents a crucial source of revenue. Turning now to United States-China relations, President Donald Trump has announced that China will purchase 200 aircraft from the United States company Boeing. Speaking in an excerpt from a Fox News interview released this past Thursday, President Trump quoted Chinese President Xi Jinping as agreeing to the order. He noted that Boeing had sought an order for 150 planes but secured 200. Meanwhile, United States Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has outlined conditions for potential reductions in import tariffs amidst the ongoing trade dispute between the two economic giants. Bessent, speaking to United States broadcaster CNBC, suggested the creation of a board of trade where both sides could identify non-sensitive goods for tariff cuts, potentially amounting to around 30 billion United States dollars. He hinted at mutual trade facilitation, citing examples such as fireworks or particularly inexpensive consumer goods that will certainly continue to come from China, where tariffs could be lowered or even suspended. However, Bessent emphasized that tariff reductions would only apply to products lacking strategic importance for the United States and not manufactured domestically. He also noted China's expressed interest in acquiring more United States goods, including liquefied natural gas and crude oil, prompting plans to boost oil production in the United States state of Alaska to meet rising demand. President Trump is currently on a state visit to Beijing, meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. He is accompanied by high-ranking ministers and a delegation of respected business leaders. During his visit, President Trump extended an invitation to President Xi Jinping and his wife, Madame Peng, for a reciprocal visit to the White House on September 24th. That concludes our news update for today. What's your take on the United States' strategy of balancing diplomatic engagement with strategic pressure, particularly regarding the complex situation with Belarus and its impact on European Union solidarity?